high school, Kathleen, I have some stories I want to share about her. So my friend in high school, Kathleen, I remember her asking me one time to describe myself. And so I was thinking about it, and I was just sort of looking down, and I was looking at my legs, and I said, muscular legs. And because sometimes when you look at your legs, they seem muscular. And sometimes they don't, and this time they did. And I said, funny blue eyes. And she started to laugh really hard because she said that made me sound like I was British. You got funny blue eyes? Go on, you know. And I said, well, yeah, I have funny blue eyes for you, revealing maybe a little more than I wanted to, because this was the thing that, you know, we became friends because I had a crush on her, and I thought, well, I can't really directly court her because she's got too many bows, right? So I thought, well, if I became friends with her, then maybe I could ingratiate myself, you know, kind of go under the radar. But that sort of diabolical plan just sort of faded to the background because we became really good friends and talked on the phone a lot and talked about everything. She told me about her friends, her boyfriends, her periods, her parents, you know, girl trouble, you know, and I told her about my parents and whatever else. I can't remember my issues really at the time, but I'm sure I had a few. And we also thought we were just the sort of wits of the planet, you know, because we would just go on these riffs. Like, I remember one time we were bashing kissers, and in America we said there was just an inadequate vocabulary for kissing. We weren't saying like Americans weren't good kissers. It wasn't a critique, you know. Like that. I mean, we're better than the English, you know. We felt secure in that. But the lexicon, we didn't have a lexicon for kissing, so we were like, okay, for example, like making out. That's our go-to phrase, you know, and it just means, you know, enthusiastic kissing, usually in a couch or in the back seat of a car, to some degree of sloppiness. Usually a tolerable degree of sloppiness. Contrast that with sucking face, which is like, I think, what 11th graders say when they're describing what 9th graders are doing on the couch or in the back of the seat. And then there's tongue, you know, as usually followed with a question mark. You know, tongue or no tongue, as if, you know, that tells the whole story. And Kathleen would say, no, yes, there is a tongue, but there are lips, and there is breath, and there are hands, and there are eyes, and I was swooning, you know. And then the worst part of our lexicon is just the word weird, you know. And I remember Kathleen using that when she said, Robbie, her boyfriend, he kissed weird. And I said, well, that doesn't really describe anything. What do you mean? She said, well, his tongue is whipping all around. And I said, well, isn't it supposed to do that? I mean, I was in 9th grade, so I was maybe revealing a little bit more than I wanted to. And she said, yeah, but his is like a lizard's tail when it's been separated from the lizard. And I thought, well, I have a chance, you know, against Mr. Amputated Lizard Tail. And I said, you know, are you going to dump him? And she wasn't. She was trying to retrain him. So I really felt this relationship was, I really felt special, and I felt like a deputized girl, you know, which was weird for me because, you know, I had this double life really, because I was a football player, and I really enjoyed that. I loved the smashing and the suiting up and the going out there. And my coach, he sort of illustrated it one day with this physics lesson. He said he took one helmet and he said he brought it in kind of slowly and rolled it on the ground. And he took another one and he brought this one from the opposite direction. And he sort of gave it all the velocity with, of a man with a purpose, and you can, sort of predict what would happen. They just sort of flew out this other direction. And he said, if you're going to hit someone, you got to hit them harder than they're going to hit you. And we would go play these incredibly stupid games, and then at home I'd come back and get on the phone with my best friend, and we'd talk about how stupid the game was. And I would say, why don't we just suit up and just jump off the building into a pile of lumber? It's just, what a ridiculous game. And finally, the discussion would turn to her boyfriend again, and what to do about Robbie, and why did he say that, and why did he do that? And on too many occasions, I would say, well, maybe it's a sign. And I remember one night in particular, she said, yeah, and I could tell, I felt terrible as soon as I said it, because I could tell she was really sad. Thank you.